Hi, thanks for tuning in. Welcome to Some Soothings. My name is Joshua. I'm a musician and glitch and sound artist. I stand in unwavering solidarity with the Black Lives Matter movement and with the movement to dismantle our racist policing institution and the violence that's disproportionately leveled against Black bodies, minds, and communities. I will endeavor to unpack my privilege, struggle against white supremacy, and that's like the bare minimum, right? That's the work that all white folks need to be doing, should have been doing already in most cases. My really, specific and personal commitment is to look for ways to find greater intersectionality in my ecological justice activism. That's work that I do regularly, and finding ways to have that connect to the movement in a broad way feels really important to me. I also intend to mine some nuance in my anti-capitalist sensibilities and its relation to white supremacy. I think that there maybe are times in which I employ a term like late capitalism or something like that, when in fact I ought to be saying white supremacy. So that's some stuff that I'm going to be thinking about. As I learn, I will share it. Alongside all of that, I will endeavor to contribute my time and resources and privilege to help build a more just world, accounting for my complicity while imagining a world where folks get the care they need, where our social safety net is broadly inclusive and super mindful, where my taxes fund wellness, joy, and education instead of violence and intimidation. Imagining that world and working towards it is something that I in fact feel hopeful about. That is likely my privilege talking, but there's something happening right now, and I'm grateful to be witness and participant in whatever small ways I'm able. On to our show. This is Some Soothings. It's a 30-minute weekly live stream. We try to be really peaceful, kind-hearted, calming. Maybe some new age vibes. It'll be a little sound bathy, maybe a little ASMR-ish. Or we try to be really vulnerable and earnest. But we'll also crack some jokes. The show is not designed for kids, but it's kid-friendly. If you know any, invite them to join us. The show is also Wild Nerf Deek if you live in a mirror. I'm tired, everybody, and so the jokes are going to be a little tired. Each week we look at a piece of contemporary art. We'll have a moment of grateful reflection. We'll talk hydration, and there'll be a little bit of a live ambient music performance. We'll close with a poem. It's hard for me to kind of engage with the chat while I'm doing the show, but please put questions and comments in there as we go, and I'll check in when the show is all done. I'll leave the stream open and pop in and say hello and try to respond to anything that was raised. All right. This is Untitled, Stranger in the Village, Hands Number 1 by Glenn Ligon. Materials are coal dust, printing ink, adhesive paper on canvas. Ligon was born in the Bronx in 1960 and continues to live and work in New York today. Ligon trained at Wesleyan, and I was delighted to learn at the beginning of their career worked as a copy editor. That's my side hustle also, so that was a nice thing to discover. Ligon has shown and has been collected everywhere. The Tate, the Met, MoMA, Guggenheim, Studio Museum, Art Institute, Chicago, the Walker. Notably had a mid-career retrospective at the Whitney a decade ago, and I still think about that show sometimes. It was really amazing, really, really brilliant, and kind of a big deal as well. Ligon works across media, employing paint, printmaking, neon sculpture, film, installation art. And so Ligon began doing these text pieces about 20 years ago. And so the kind of process is it's this found text that Ligon hand stencils onto the canvas and then paints over or smears or prints or treats in some fashion. The texts often quote or refer to Black visionaries or like potent moments in African American history. There's work about Ralph Ellison and Billie Holiday, the Memphis sanitation strike. There's a series of pieces about Richard Pryor, the Harlem Six, and our piece here borrows from James Baldwin. It quotes "Stranger in the Valley," which is an essay on the surface about Baldwin's experience living in a small Swiss town as a black man. But I think underneath there's some really mindful subtext about race, history, and America in the essay. And obviously the Ligon's piece inherits that. Ligon's project, this text work, feels just like profoundly literate to me. I wish that the term academic didn't feel kind of like pejorative, because that's how I want to describe this work. It's like wildly academic. It's profoundly smart and thoughtful and academic. I don't know. The texts, these text works in general just are, scholarly. Maybe scholarly is the word, right? They're scholarly. There we go. This work in particular, I think, also has like a real poignancy, not just at this moment, just a real poignancy in general, because of this really remarkable recursion that's happening. I'm going to try to talk through this. I've been thinking about this all week and don't know if I've gotten it articulated well yet, but here we go. White supremacy erases and obscures Black lives. A Black voice articulates that lived experience, in this case, Baldwin. White supremacy and the colonized canon erase and obscure that voice. Then, 65 years later, Ligon recovers, reanimates, reactivates that articulation of the lived experience, but only to erase and obscure it again in the work itself. And so, there's this clear cycle happening here, and the work demonstrates its origin. That's the recursion part that I'm struggling to articulate. The work itself is a gesture towards this ever-present cycle of erasure and oppression, but with this twist that I think makes it really lovely or really interesting. It's Ligon's hand here at the end, right? It's a Black person's hand that's doing this final erasure, and so I think, at least I find that so profoundly moving. Like in this last act of obscuring, I think the work becomes elegy and memorial. Glenn Ligon seems like he'd be a really good hang, so I wanted to share this really brief clip of them speaking on PBS, just so you can get a sense of how charming they seem like they must be.
There's lots of levels on which my paintings can be approached. One can approach it as simply an object that has a certain kind of beauty. One can approach it as an object that has a text in it that has different levels of legibility. If one knows James Baldwin and realizes that the text in my painting is from an essay that he's written, then that opens up the painting, gives it a different level of meaning. Like any artwork, things become richer if you know more about them, but I don't think that's crucial. Someone can walk into a museum and not know a single thing about a Jackson Pollock painting and still have a reaction to it, still get something from it. The thing that they get from it may be richer if they know more about it, but that's like anything. That's about being in the world.
He's the best. Glenn Ligon, more info, other works, an essay about the neon piece Double America, which feels kind of poignant right now, and I considered writing or thinking about or speaking about, I guess, this week about Double America. Read the essay or peek the essay on Double America down in the panel below. Okay. Regular viewers will recall that I've been tracking my water intake. While I continued to believe that hydration is super important, that water spreadsheet was actually causing a lot of stress in my life, so I deleted it. I'm just not doing it anymore. I could write a book on the pleasure I take in quitting things, and deleting that spreadsheet was no exception. It felt really good to not be thinking about that anymore. I have more good news. I found out this week that the surprisingly healing candlestick comes apart, and I was able to pull off the part that goes ding really nicely, and so it sounds even better now. So let's have a taste of that. That is a nurturing, that is good stuff. All right, now it's time for our special feature. Our special feature on the show this week is self-care tips that may or may not be helpful. Number 1, foot massage, but wear like 2 different shirts so it's easier to pretend that it's someone else giving you a foot massage. 2, give yourself permission to spend time in nature. 3, give yourself a manicure with whatever you have around the house. 4, phone a pal. This one is not a joke. It can be really helpful to process things in community, in places of ease where we feel safe and where we can be vulnerable. And just as a quick reminder, social media may provide connection and often may present as like a kind of community, but its primary purpose is as an advertisement distribution system. 5, tofu facial. Hope you're feeling better, because we need to get back out there and get on the streets. Yeah, the jokes are tired, everybody. Let's do gratitude. Let's pause a moment and reflect. I'm going to close my eyes for like 10 seconds and think about something I'm feeling grateful for. If I feel comfortable sharing it, I will do so. And I would encourage you all to do the same. Pause, breathe, close your eyes for a moment. Lean into that quietude and consider things that you might be thankful for. If you're comfortable doing so, please share them in the chat. I'm compiling things that we're grateful for and do a big list in the panels down below. All right, I am closing my eyes now. So, like 1 minute ago, I clowned on social media in our little video, but the thing that I just kept thinking about when I closed my eyes was how grateful I am for people doing digital activist work right now. People that are sharing information, that are compiling spreadsheets of places to donate, folks that are making like cool infographics about race and policing, folks that are doing like police scanner work and coordinating with activists on the ground through phones and Instagram. That's amazing. There are so many ways to participate, and I'm feeling so grateful for the folks that are participating in that way, that are using the digital platforms to help affect change and contribute to the movement and make a more just world. So grateful for that. If there's something that you're grateful for and you want to share it in the chat, please do so. I'll compile it and add it to our list. What's next? Yeah, let's go to Kate Adams with the weather in McCarthy, Alaska.
Hey, Some Soothings friends. It is about 60 degrees here in McCarthy, Alaska, and we're getting about 20 hours of daylight these days. The wildflowers are really starting to go off. There's one in particular that is going to pop off pretty soon here, which is the namesake for this many-shouldered mountain we see here, Mount Fireweed. Those blooms will be bright fuchsia and abundant when they start to go. I hope this little slice of nature can bring a little bit of peace and help us sustain each other for the work that this moment requires of us.
Yes, thank you, Kate, so much. So grateful for you, and yes, and for that slice of nature and for that thoughtful message. Let's play some music. This is now the third time that I'm going to say tired on the show, and this music is tired too. So whatever the opposite of buckle up is, do that. Alright, gang, thanks for listening. Let's close with our poem. This is a poem by Joy Harjo. It's called Perhaps the World Ends Here. The world begins at a kitchen table. No matter what, we must eat to live. The gifts of earth are brought and prepared, set on the table. And so it has been since creation. And it will go on. We chase chickens or dogs away from it. Babies teethe at the corners, they scrape their knees under it. It's here that children are given instructions on what it means to be human. We make men at it, we make women. At this table we gossip, call enemies the ghosts of our lovers. Our dreams drink coffee with us as they put their arms around our children. They laugh with us at our poor falling down selves, and as we put ourselves back together once again at the table. The table has been a house in the rain, an umbrella in the sun. Wars have begun and ended at this table. It's a place to hide in the shadow of terror, a place to celebrate the terrible victory. We've given birth on this table. We've prepared our parents for burial here. At this table we sing with joy and with sorrow. We pray of suffering and remorse. And we give thanks. Perhaps the world will end at the kitchen table while we're laughing and crying, eating the last sweet bite. Tonight's intro and outro music has been Nacre Meadow by Nalia Hunter. Link is below. Their new record, Spells, is totally amazing. Harp, vocals, synthesizers. It's so good. Highly recommend it. Grip that. Info about all the things we talked about down below. I'm going to turn the camera off now. I'll leave the stream open for a second and say hi in the chat. Thank you all so much for watching, listening, being here. Thank you for the work that you're doing. Keep your hearts strong. Keep your feet moving. Take good care of yourselves. And I'll see you on the streets.